The story begins by conveying that the world is perpetually troubled. In the midst of these troubles, those who are blessed by God and overcome hardships are deemed heroes. Those who lost and vanished became part of a notoriously evil organization known as the Death Shadow, where darkness originated. The female lead introduces herself as Serena R. Raphael. She mentions she is currently waiting to be assigned to Training Center 5. Her preference was to join Training Center 1 for swordsmanship, but Training Center 5, which is unpopular, focuses on survival training. This type of training is strenuous and considered useless. Moreover, the unpopularity is heightened due to the presence of the fifth instructor. In the meantime, the master addresses his students, indicating they are all newcomers. Serena observes that he has sharp eyes and a stiff posture and is known as a cold-blooded man in Death's shadow. The master continues, asserting that the students know who he is. Serena thinks to herself that he is the ice demon. The master then calls out for number 23 to come forward. A girl nervously responds. The master instructs her to draw out her sword and attack him. Hesitantly, the girl agrees. Serena reflects that number 23's skills are average at best and considers that it is her first time seeing the fifth instructor's swordsmanship. She believes he is looking down on them because he is an instructor and criticizes his posture as shabby. As the girl advances to attack, the master effortlessly brings her down. He then demands that she tell him what mistakes she made. The girl admits that she missed the sword and shouted. The master addresses the rest of the students, asking if anyone wants to add to that. Serena raises her hand and comments that the girl swayed her sword wildly and gave up. The master inquires for what reason. Serena responds that one must not draw their sword without the confidence to kill and must aim at anything that has life. The master acknowledges that Serena is no idiot but states she is wrong. Serena attacks with her sword, mimicking the move made earlier. They engage in a sword fight, with Serena placing her sword on the master's shoulder. The master demands an explanation and warns that if she cannot provide one, he will cut her flesh and break her bones. Serena admits she was wrong. The master explains that the shadow-cutting skill is a sword technique designed to kill with a single blow, making a second blow unnecessary. Serena is surprised and repeats the concept. The master affirms this, emphasizing that failure is not an option for those who kill, and that lacking the confidence to execute a lethal move means one does not deserve to live. Serena acknowledges this, promising to keep it in mind. She reflects that she became aware of the fifth instructor's skills that day. The master instructs the students to run 20 laps around the grounds and practice shadow cutting 1 to 18 with 100 sets each, warning them not to dream of taking a break before finishing everything. The students respond affirmatively. The master then tells numbers 23 and 7 to do an additional 10 laps and 50 more sets, questioning if they will say they can't do it. The students begin running laps around the ground, while Serena reflects that continuing in these large training grounds and wielding a sword more than 100 times is so harsh that many might have complained. Despite this, she notes that the master is watching them with cold eyes without getting any treatment for his shoulder injury, making it impossible for them to hold a grudge against him. She wonders about the nature of this man and realizes she underestimated him, which led to her easy defeat. However, she also sees this as an opportunity to get a clue about the death blow of the Raphael family that she has been seeking. The pity and disappointment she felt towards the fifth instructor vanish as she resolves to learn more from him in the future. Meanwhile, the master internally curses at the pain, lamenting how much his shoulder hurts and how it's driving him crazy. Despite being a third-rate villain now, he recalls being clever in the past and questions how he can use his strength on kids like these. He specifically remembers the 7th student who hit his shoulder, realizing she is not an ordinary girl. He identifies her as a potential hero's vessel and wonders why someone like her would join an evil organization. Suspecting she might be a spy, he notices her smiling while running, despite his injury and the pain he endured. This girl with her yellow hair is sure to disrupt his peaceful life as a third-rate villain. He mentally vows to deal with her, thinking to himself that she'll be a problem for him in the future. Serena counts, reaching 130, 131, and 132, then thinks that she can't continue as she's out of energy. However, she realizes that if she stops now, the fifth instructor will keep quietly watching her. Meanwhile, the fifth instructor internally curses at the pain, wanting to get treated quickly and just eat, and wonders when Serena will finish. The cold snow is making him tear up, and he wishes she would hurry up. He reflects that he's not getting paid extra and questions why he's still there, wanting to rest. Serena mutters that she can do a little bit more, but then collapses. The master exclaims in surprise that she fainted and then announces that the training is over for the day and everyone should go back. The students respond affirmatively. As the master looks at Serena, he thinks that her giving up is going to make him work even harder now. The master carries Serena on his back, wondering why he's even doing this and resolving not to let her off easily. After placing her on the bed, he exclaims in frustration about her weight and questions what's wrong with her, speculating that she might be angry and taking it out on him. Deciding to act as an open-minded, third-rate villain, He considers this payback for her laughing at him earlier. If he gets caught, he plans to claim she looked like a spy, justifying his interrogation. He thinks about making her cry and leave, starting by disarming her. He examines her supplies and finds an engraved ring with the insignia of the prestigious Raffle family. This discovery alarms him, as dealing with someone from such a family means he'll be held responsible. He worries about a potential salary cut or even being fired if he's caught. Considering the possibility of burying her to keep the incident secret, he rationalizes that unfortunate incidents are common in an evil organization, and that deaths are unusual. If he decides to kill her, he plans to do it cleverly and securely, viewing this crisis as a stepping stone to becoming stronger. He resolves to take his time to create the perfect trap. While asleep, Serena thinks about the master, wondering how he is doing and recognizing that he used a lot of energy, so he won't recover easily. She considers looking for a pharmacist and decides she will look into it. In her thoughts, she reflects on the secret organization of Knights Without a Leader, the Free Knights, which is part of the Raffle family who found the stone sword, one of the three great swords. She notes that the harder the stone, the easier it is for moss to grow, causing the stone sword to become outdated and leading to her family's rapid decline. Serena remembers how her father worked tirelessly to pass on the family's swordsmanship, eventually falling ill, with even his followers abandoning him. She resolves not to let her father's efforts be in vain and to find a solution as his successor. She contemplates if there is another method to take over the stone sword and realizes that learning all three sword techniques could be the answer. She acknowledges that while breaking the flame of the battlefield might be impossible, mastering the shadow slash of Death's Shadow could be achievable. A voice from behind calls out to Serena. She turns delighted and sees her father, asking if he is fine now and ensuring he isn't pushing himself too hard. Serena excitedly shares that she has a good idea about the stone sword and the three sword techniques. Her father responds by reminding her that the future of the Raffle family now depends on her and to not forget that. Serena regains consciousness, thinking that she had a nightmare. She recalls training earlier and wonders about her current location. The master then questions if she is from the Raffle family. Serena notices the fifth instructor and realizes that he has her ring, indicating he has discovered her identity. She knows she needs to get out of there and wonders why he brought her to a private room instead of a torture chamber, speculating about his intentions. The master remarks that despite the Raffle family's decline, he finds it hard to believe a descendant of such a renowned family of swordsmen would come here. He mocks the pride left in the rusty stone sword. Serena becomes angry. The master internally chuckles, finding it amusing that she reacts so strongly to provocation, considering her just a kid. He then asks if she has finally gained the courage to wipe the rust off the stone sword. Serena is taken aback and wonders how he knows about this. The master feels triumphant, sensing he's got her attention. He continues by mentioning the deep blow and the three sword techniques, the first being the Raffle family's stone sword, the second the shadow slash of the Death's Shadow, and finally introduces the third technique, though he thinks to himself that this marks the end of a good head start. Serena mentions the roaring swordsman's flame of the battlefield, prompting the master to acknowledge that her perception is still sharp. Serena questions why a descendant of the roaring swordsman is present. The master suggests that the reason is probably similar to that of the first swordsman, that their identities are meant to remain unknown. Serena realizes that, like her, the roaring swordsman's descendant is here to regain his honor, but she wonders why he would reveal such an important secret to her. Meanwhile, the master thinks it's his goal to have Serena recognize him as the heir of the swordsman and notes that she probably believes they share the same reason for being there. Serena asks what the point of sharing this information is, while internally she thinks the real reason is to trick her and get rid of her. The master offers to teach Serena the combination of the flame of the battlefield and the shadow slash. Serena inquires about his motives. The master explains that the sword technique isn't complete and might have side effects, making it nearly impossible to learn unless one is a genius. Serena understands that an incomplete technique could harm the body. She questions whether he intends to experiment on her, to which the master confirms that she must be prepared to sacrifice her life. The master then reflects that his intention is to kill her with this sword. He comments on Serena's likely goal to take over the stone sword and regain her family's honor, and suggests that learning this technique with him could help achieve that. Serena asks if he is proposing to take her in as a secret disciple. The master confirms this is indeed his plan. Serena contemplates whether she should trust the master, considering that what he previously demonstrated was indeed the flame of the battlefield. She reasons that learning the combination of the stone sword and shadow slash could be beneficial, and decides to agree to his proposal. The master responds positively, expressing approval of her decision and recognizing her as a descendant of one of the three great swords. Internally, he thinks that now he can kill her. The next day, he emphasizes the importance of a strong lower body for a prosecutor and instructs Serena to wear a specific item during training. Serena questions whether the training is excessive and whether the item is poison. The master thinks to himself that she is not using it for training, but rather for her death. He instructs her to take the pills 3 times a day and to apply the salve to soothe any after effects. Serena acknowledges this and reflects on the path the master has chosen. The master, meanwhile, considers the medicine to be fake and hopes that she will die immediately. 10 days later, the master reflects on Serena's condition, observing her lying on the ground and noting how close she is to death. He grimly acknowledges that at this rate, it's only a matter of time before she dies, hoping she will go down soon. Another 10 days pass, and the master is frustrated, realizing that things are not going as planned. He worries about the trouble he will be in if things continue this way, baffled by the girl's unexpected resilience. He curses his decision to make her stronger, feeling it was in vain. Serena asks the master what problem he is contemplating. The master casually dismisses it, though he is internally angry that Serena is growing stronger rather than succumbing to her injuries. He decides that he needs to find another way to get rid of her. He tells Serena that she has now established a foundation and that they will begin her serious training, which is actually a trap, the next day declaring the day's session over. As Serena leaves, she wonders if she has finally earned some recognition from him. Meanwhile, the master is perplexed about how Serena managed to train for 30 days and still endure. He contemplates how he might finally manage to kill her. The master questions number 7 about whether she left something behind, while another master arrives and apologizes for not being the one the first master was expecting. The first master, confused, asks what the second master means by expecting. The second master explains that he knows the first master has been frequently interacting with number 7 recently. The first master insists that he is merely providing proper consultation for her training. The second master then suggests, somewhat incredulously, that the first master might be interested in the trainee. The first master, outraged by the suggestion, dismisses it as nonsense and internally resolves to expel her as quickly as possible. The second master, noticing the first master's irritation, decides to leave if that is not the reason for his behavior. As he departs, the first master is left puzzled by the purpose of the visit. He bids farewell, still confused about the situation. The master explains that using the shadow slash requires aiming for a vital point with a single strike. He describes the flame of the battlefield as a technique that creates an opening in the opponent's defense and the stone sword as a style focused on attack rather than defense. Each sword has its unique style, and a poor amalgamation with one's sword can ruin everything, so one must take advantage of their strengths. The master then demonstrates by sending fire from his sword towards Serena, who narrowly avoids it. He names the technique Red Blaze, but then, surprised, he realizes his wrist hurts. He explains that by combining the flame of the battlefield and the shadow slash, one can create a lethal technique that combines both speed and deceit, though he internally acknowledges that this is theoretical and akin to a suicide bombing. Serena senses the power through his demonstration and realizes that if the master were to use it with all his might, it would be incredibly potent. The master, questioning her belief and commitment, wonders if she is genuinely trying to learn this dangerous technique. The master tells Serena that if she combines the stone sword with his swordsmanship, it will become a lethal weapon capable of cutting through anything. However, he warns that she must be prepared to die. Serena, filled with determination, questions if it's truly possible to learn such a technique. The master, with a serious tone, asks if she thinks a swordsman would lie about their swords. Serena, reflecting on his words, feels that he isn't lying, but the master internally admits that he isn't really a swordsman, but a fraudster. Serena declares that she will learn and achieve the technique because she has a goal to accomplish. The master, acknowledging her readiness to die, agrees not to stop her and sets the training to begin the next day. Internally, he plans to strain her until she dies, convinced it will only be a matter of time before she succumbs. A year later, Serena declares that her training is over. The master, frustrated internally, wonders why she's even asking that when he had tried to strain her so hard, yet she only became stronger. He thinks that one cannot become a real swordsman by only obsessing over swordsmanship training, hoping she will leave. Out loud, he questions what could be more important than swordsmanship, while internally wishing she would just go. He finally tells her that if she's there to complain, she should leave, thinking he's run out of traps. Serena admits she was foolish and expresses a desire to learn something other than swordsmanship. The master, understanding but exasperated, tells her he understands. Serena reflects that from that point, for the next 10 days, she learned many things from the 5th instructor, including philosophy, science, history, and even magic. She marvels at his breadth of knowledge, which is wider than most scholars, and wonders where he came from, questioning if he is even real. As Serena steps outside, someone calls her over. She recognizes them and addresses them as the 3rd instructor, asking if there is something wrong. The 3rd instructor mentions hearing from the 4th instructor that she has been spending time with the 5th instructor recently. Serena explains that she belongs to Training Center 5. The 3rd instructor accuses her of pretending not to understand and reveals knowing her identity as a spy from Raphael, demanding she disclose everything about her swordsmanship. Serena responds that she will not reveal anything and warns that she will not draw her sword if the instructor leaves. The third instructor, finding her arrogant, dismisses her warning, questioning her authority and threatening to take her to the torture chamber. A fight ensues between them, resulting in the third instructor's neck being cut. Serena, feeling shocked, realizes she only intended to threaten the third instructor and cannot believe how weak he turned out to be, given his specialization in espionage. Recognizing that the third instructor's direct approach means all the instructors are already aware of her identity, she knows she must escape before they arrive. Meanwhile, number 23 rushes to Master, who questions the commotion. Number 23 informs him that number 7 escaped after slashing the third instructor. The third instructor had been investigating number 7, suspecting her of being a spy, and the situation escalated. Master, realizing that number 7's identity has been uncovered, understands that he will also be under suspicion now. Master asks which direction Serena escaped to. Number 23 replies that she fled towards the western forest. When Master inquires about the other instructors, number 23 explains that the first and second instructors immediately went after her, while the fourth instructor is likely just hearing about the situation. Master thinks to himself that he came in with the other 4 instructors, realizing that the organization must have been suspicious of both him and Serena, and that now he must also consider running away. He then asks if the incident has been reported to the higher-ups, to which number 23 responds that numbers 8 and 11 were responsible for making the report. Master finally inquires about the remaining members, and number 23 states that they are gathering in the training ground. Master instructs number 23 to gather everyone, including the 4th instructor, and head to the headquarters, saying he will chase after Serena. Number 23 hesitates, mentioning the 1st instructor's order to stay with the 5th instructor. Master insists, prompting number 23 to reluctantly agree. Master then heads towards the forest to pursue Serena. Upon arriving, he notices the aftermath of a recent confrontation, thinking to himself how Serena's single sword swing managed to cut down 3 opponents in a log, marveling at her strength. Spotting Serena, he approaches and observes her reaction. Serena, hearing the noise, asks who is there and then sees Master. She acknowledges his arrival, thinking she had anticipated it but had hoped otherwise. Master affirms his presence, internally questioning her for drawing her sword first. Serena declares she has to repay her newfound enemy, then charges at Master, sword in hand, closing the distance between them swiftly. Serena thrusts her sword into her chest, expecting to strike Master, but it passes through another man instead. She realizes it is the 2nd instructor and wonders how he managed to get behind her. Her primary concern shifts, and she questions aloud why the 2nd instructor was the target instead of herself. Master responds, commenting on Serena's emotional reaction and her near-death experience due to carelessness. Internally, he curses, thinking that the 2nd instructor would have killed him right after Serena. He criticizes Serena for being clumsy and stupid as usual, while also thinking about the pain in his shoulder caused by her. He then takes out supplies from his bag, informing her that he packed essentials for an escapee and instructs her to follow the map inside. Serena, perplexed, asks why he would help her when she was planning to kill him earlier. Master clarifies that she is merely bait, thinking to himself that now that it's clear the instructors intend to kill him, he will use her as a distraction to escape. Serena questions whether being bait is sufficient compensation for the favor he has done for her. Master, puzzled by her reaction, wonders if the map alone isn't enough. He worries that if Serena doesn't serve as effective bait, he will be in trouble, viewing her as a shameless brat. Master handed gold coins to Serena, internally urging her to take them and leave quickly. He desperately hoped she would just take everything and go. Serena, pondering his actions, wondered if he was giving her all these resources to survive longer and serve as better bait. Master, pressed for time, commanded her to leave, thinking that he was running out of time. He expressed a hope that one day she would have a true successor, while internally he thought that she was the only one foolish enough to learn his dangerous self-destruction swordsmanship. As Serena turned away, she thought she saw him laugh. At that moment, another man, the 1st instructor, appeared and remarked that Master had chosen Serena over the organization. Master responded that it was inevitable, acknowledging the 1st instructor's presence. The 1st instructor questioned the wisdom of Master's actions, but Master replied that just as the organization did not expect him to divulge any swordsmanship secrets, he did not believe the organization would keep him alive either. The man drew his sword and stated that he guessed there was no other way, offering to let Master face the end as his swordsman one last time. Master expressed appreciation for the consideration while internally cursing in pain, blaming Serena for his injuries. The man noticed Master's injury and inquired if he was attacked by the 2nd instructor. Master dismissed the concern, stating it was none of the man's business. The man confidently remarked that he would win the match without exerting all his might. Master retorted that he would not lose this match, prompting the man to challenge him to try. A fight ensued between them. During the battle, Master commented on the coolness of the man's shadow slash. The man, in turn, acknowledged the impressiveness of Master's flames of the battlefield. Each of the three major swordsmanships with single blows has distinct characteristics. The stone sword defies defense, the shadow slash focuses on attack, and the flames of the battlefield strikes back after defending. These unique traits create differences in combat effectiveness. Among them, the flames of the battlefield is vulnerable to the stone sword, which breaks through defenses. However, is highly effective against the shadow slash, which is weak against counterattacks. In theory, the villain should win, but overcoming the gap between physical strength and skill solely with swordsmanship presents a significant challenge. The man drove his sword into Master's stomach, stating that if it weren't for the injury on Master's shoulder, Master might have won. Master, coughing, replied that a defeated swordsman needs no sympathy, but expressed that the kid wouldn't be defeated so easily. Internally, Master wondered what exactly Serena, the bait, was doing at that moment. The man declared that he would soon send the Raffle family's successor with Master and then threw Master into a ravine. He resolved to take care of the number 7 traitor next. Serena thought that she could stop acting as bait and considered her next move. At that moment, an assailant attacked her, but she swiftly killed him with her sword. Reflecting on her skills, Serena noted that this was the 30th person she had defeated. She attributed her survival and swordsmanship skills to the training she received from the 5th instructor, who must have gained those skills through life and death experiences. She wondered what kind of life he had lived to acquire such abilities. Suddenly, she was surrounded by a group of people declaring that it was the end for number 7. Realizing that not only the 1st instructor but also Death Shadow's elite unit was present, Serena thought about the situation. The man leading the group told her to surrender, promising to guarantee her life if she did. Serena, knowing the 1st instructor wouldn't lie, considered his words. However, she didn't want to live rotting in a dungeon. The man admitted he didn't expect the student of the 5th instructor to give up easily. Serena then declared that she was not a student of the Flame of the Battlefield's possessor. The man clarified that Serena was the last student of the 5th instructor. Serena thought about how a dead person couldn't teach anymore. The man explained that the 5th instructor had joined the organization with his sword skills, similar to Serena. They had desired the system of his sword techniques, and since Serena had inherited them, she would now be sacrificed because she had become useless. He mentioned that if it weren't for him, the 5th instructor would have had more time. When Serena questioned whether the man was responsible for the instructor's death, the man confirmed it. He revealed that, as part of an inspection, he had fought the 5th instructor, leading to his death. Serena expressed disbelief, saying there was no way the instructor would lose to someone like him. The man responded that the outcome might have been different if the instructor had not had an injury on his shoulder. Serena thought about the injury on the 5th instructor's shoulder, realizing it had played a crucial role in his defeat. The man warned Serena to be prepared, as the instructor was now dead. In response, Serena, enraged, used her sword to kill everyone one by one, leaving the onlookers in shock. She reflected on her fate as a swordsman, lamenting how everything precious to her seemed to be easily lost. With only the sword handle left, she resolved to become the best swordsman and continue her path of killing. Meanwhile, the master, still alive, felt a chill and complained about his spinning head as he vomited blood. He took out medicine from his bag, feeling fortunate that things had gone as planned without major issues. The master explained how he had avoided falling into the chasm by opening his parachute at the last moment and landing in a tree. The master, applying salves to his entire body, remarked on his survival, emphasizing that survival was the most crucial thing. He noted that he could live independently, unaffected by the world's mockery or insults. Reflecting on his situation, he considered it a significant achievement despite the waste, and wondered where people seek jobs nowadays. With that thought, he resolved to continue living as a villain. Meanwhile, Serena, raising her sword, vowed to live and repay the master's kindness, making an oath to her sword to honor it until her blood runs dry and her pride vanishes. She reflected that this oath of a hero would resonate throughout the world as a story known only to them, marking a farewell to her first and last teacher. Serena arrived at someone's house and, after taking a bite of food, commented on its unique taste. The boy asked if she was really from the Empire, knowing that she was eating snake skewers. Serena reassured him that it was fine, as she was accustomed to foods with unique flavors. The boy was intrigued, but Serena thought to herself that there was no such thing as immunity to poisonous snakes, and one could die if unable to endure the poison. The boy then inquired about why someone from the Empire would come to such a place, wondering if it was for sightseeing. Serena explained that she had come to train in the southern jungle. The boy mentioned that he had obtained the guides Serena requested. Serena expressed her gratitude, noting that she had expected it would take longer due to the dangers of the jungle. The boy laughed, saying that people from the south weren't afraid of the jungle, and that what was truly frightening was the Shahada. Serena asked if the Shahada was a demon, and she thought to herself that a Shahada was what they called a ghost in the Empire, a ghost that consumed humans. The boy removed his shirt to show a scar and explained that he had encountered the Shahada before, and this scar was proof of it. Serena observed that the scar looked like it was from a blade aimed at the heart and concluded that it indicated an adversary of the same level as the Death Shadow's first instructor. She wondered if the Shahada was still in the jungle. The boy warned her that the Shahada was immortal and advised her to be careful in the jungle. Serena thanked him for the advice. Serena lay down to think, contemplating the notion of an immortal ghost that digs for people's hearts, which she found ridiculous. However, she mused that if ghosts did exist, perhaps she might see those who had passed away again, just one more time. In her dream, a girl shouted, addressing someone named Sevilla, questioning how they could even be a hero praised by everyone. Sevilla, appearing weary of playing the hero, remarked that Serena, the celestial swordsman, would someday realize that the life of a useless hero only ends in destruction. When Serena asked for clarification, Sevilla offered to teach her personally. Serena then declared her intention to pierce Sevilla with infinite icicles. Waking from her sleep, she thought about the strange dream she had and then threw a snake out of the window. Serena reflected on the past 3 years since the fall of Death's Shadow. She traveled around the continent, undertaken numerous tasks, and was willing to endure any ordeal to rebuild her family's reputation. She remembered being the one who killed Kurta, the Lord of the Dark Mountains, the #1 demon. Despite this, she pondered over what had made Sevilla so angry that day and why a hero would become the leader of bandits. Reiju knocked and entered, mentioning that he had heard there was a guest from the Empire who needed a guide. Serena confirmed this, introducing herself. Reiju introduced himself as the veteran guide of the village, prompting Serena to think he looked like a kid. When Reiju asked if she was anxious because he looked young, Serena admitted she was worried due to the dangerous nature of their task. Reiju suggested she could wait for Harba to finish working if she was that anxious, but noted it didn't matter to him since he had received an advance payment. Serena, unwilling to waste any more time, agreed to be in Reiju's care. Meanwhile, the master was reading a mission brief. In the last village of the southern jungle, contact the target and carry out the given mission. He thought about the nature of the evil organization, realizing they could easily send a member to the edge of the continent for their goals. A young boy remarked to his mother that the master looked weird. The master acknowledged this silently, but questioned if they really just sent him to the edge of a continent. He decided he needed to get a guide first, but noted that guides in the area were expensive. Reiju appeared and mentioned that if he needed a guide to the last village, he should go to the village's vacant lot where guides were available. Reiju noted that he himself had a prior appointment despite being the only veteran guide and added, almost teasingly, that the master was too late. The master, thinking that he didn't ask Reiju, considered the information that only 2 people knew the way to the last village and decided it would be best to go there quickly. Reiju then left to attend his prior appointment. The master commented on the limited number of guides, expressing his desire to negotiate for a lower price. Feeling a sudden heaviness in his head, he noticed a snake on top of him and exclaimed in shock. He quickly threw the snake down and took an antidote from his bag. After collapsing to the ground, he wondered why a white-patterned viper had been on his head. Looking up toward the window, he realized that someone had deliberately targeted him. Despite the abundance of poisonous snakes in the area, he knew confronting them would be futile, as they could claim it was a coincidence. Recognizing their cunning, he decided to retreat for now, vowing not to let them go next time. A boy approached and asked the master if he was feeling unwell and why he was lying down. He offered a skewer, suggesting the master try one, and mentioned that the first one was free. The master, in a fit of rage, punched the snake, shattering it into pieces. He then placed his sword against the boy's neck, prompting the boy to scream and demand an explanation. The master asked for the reason behind giving him the snake, while internally seething about being messed with. The boy stammered that it was their traditional dish, popular among imperial guests, especially with the sleeping flower tea. The master accused the boy of feeding a viper to an unfamiliar tourist and selling the sleeping flower tea as an antidote, either to rip off all his money or let him die in the jungle. He questioned if all visitors were welcomed this way and whether he should respond like someone from the imperial family. The boy, grabbing the master's leg, pleaded for forgiveness, admitting his mistake. The master, asserting that mistakes must be paid for, thought about his mission. In the last village of the southern jungle, he needed to contact the target and carry out the given task. The master asked the boy if he knew a guide who could lead him to the last village. The boy nervously admitted that he could be the guide. The master, slightly surprised but satisfied, declared that the boy would now be his guide. The boy hesitated, suggesting that he might not be suitable since he was a beginner. The master, recalling that a boy who called himself a veteran guide had mentioned having an appointment, and that only 2 people knew the way, concluded that the other must be the boy. He warned the boy of the consequences if he lied. Terrified, the boy agreed to guide him. The master, feeling pleased with himself, told the boy to get ready. Internally, he congratulated himself for saving money and quickly thinking of a guide in this situation, proud of his villainous skill. The master and the boy ventured together, and the boy remarked about encountering a swamp. He confirmed that it indeed appeared to be a swamp. The master questioned the boy's competence as a guide, pointing out that he should have known about the swamp. The boy, feeling defensive, reminded the master that he had mentioned being a beginner. The master then threw a rope onto a tree. The boy, curious, asked if it was a magic rope and if the master was a magician. The master explained that it was just a pulley and warned the boy to stop saying nonsense or he would be left behind. Desperate, the boy begged the master to take him along, though he complained about being tired. The master internally reflected on his earlier expectations of a pleasant journey and handed the boy some food when he complained about being hungry. He then sarcastically thought to himself about the idea of a nice journey and considered throwing the boy back into the swamp. Meanwhile, Serena and Regia are seen traveling. Regia warns that the swamp is dangerous and that Serena should follow him carefully. He is shocked by Serena's unusual walking technique, which should have caused her to fall into the swamp. Serena explains that she can walk very fast, faster than the water surface. Her head accidentally hits a beehive, causing the bees to swarm. Regia tries to caution her, but Serena swiftly cuts down the bees with her sword. Amazed, Regia asks how she managed to do that. Serena simply states that she can cut things very quickly and that it's easier than cutting sand. Regia is relieved that she wasn't stung. Following this, Serena efficiently eliminates all threats they encounter, including a poisonous snake, a jaguar, and even a man-eating plant. Regia inquires if Serena is truly human, to which she confirms there is no problem. He then speculates whether she might have consumed something unusual or if she is a remodeled fake human. Serena denies this, explaining that she has undergone special training, such as running on water and consuming vipers or poisonous insects to build resistance. She adds that she has also killed assassins who attempted to eliminate her. Despite this rigorous training, she admits the southern jungle is still the worst. She urges them to continue on their journey. Regia points out that they have arrived at the second village. Serena remarks that the village name is quite simple. Regia explains that in the jungle, villages are often destroyed, so it's a hassle to name each one, and they are simply numbered in order. Serena acknowledges this, and Regia suggests they eat something first. Serena then inquires if people there dislike those from the Empire, noting that the villagers seem to be avoiding her. Regia dismisses this, suggesting it's because the villagers are busy preparing for a hunting festival that all the villages participate in. Serena, observing the bustling activity, comments on how busy everyone seems. Regia offers her a chance to join the festival, mentioning there are no participation requirements. Serena declines, saying she's fine. Regia expresses mild disappointment, but Serena internally reflects that her purpose is to train her sword and she doesn't have time to waste on hunting. Competing with hunters would yield obvious results. Meanwhile, a lady watches from hiding, thinking about the next destination, the third village. As Serena and Regia begin to head back, Regia notices something unusual at the entrance and expresses concern. Serena instructs Regia to wait while she quickly moves ahead, channeling fire energy through her sword and sending a boy crashing into a tree. The boy then stands up and tries to evade Serena's next attack, placing his sword in his mouth. Observing the boy's weapon and skill, Serena recognizes the sword as a kukri and realizes that the boy must be a Shahada, a type of ghost from the Empire known for consuming humans. Remembering the description of a ghost that eats humans, Serena concludes that the boy is indeed a cannibal. Serena introduces herself as Serena R. Raphael and declares her intention to judge the boy for his crimes. The Shahada charges at Serena, but she manages to defend herself. Despite her attacks, the Shahada skillfully avoids being hit. Serena reflects on the Shahada's strength, realizing that from the very first blocked blow, she knew he was no ordinary opponent. She acknowledges the difficulty in dealing with such a person. Serena then questions whether the Shahada isn't afraid of death, considering his fighting style involves sacrificing his own flesh to break his opponent's bones. It becomes clear that he fights recklessly, seemingly indifferent to his own demise as long as he can kill his enemy. Resolving to meet his challenge, Serena declares that she will kill him as he wishes. The Shahada laughs upon hearing this. Serena then announces her third move, Eruption of the Red Lotus, and strikes fiercely. Her attack shatters the Shahada's sword, injuring him with a blow to his chest and forehead. Wounded and in pain, the Shahada tries to flee, but Serena pursues him. Eventually, the Shahada halts and Serena also stops, questioning him about his next move. The Shahada turns to face Serena, who expresses her frustration at what she perceives as a final insult to the dead. Serena then realizes that the Shahada's dismembered arm might be a special ability or magic, but she dismisses this as impossible, concluding that no god would grant a devil such power. She concludes that the Shahada is not human. Serena questions the Shahada about his true identity. Just then, Regia arrives and interrupts the confrontation, commenting on the unfortunate timing and suggesting he could return later. Before Serena can react, the Shahada seizes Regia and starts to leave. Serena calls out to Regia in alarm, and Regia, confused and frightened, questions the situation. Despite Serena's desperate plea to wait, the Shahada escapes with Regia. Serena expresses her frustration about the Shahada taking an innocent person and a child as hostages, along with her food and luggage. She realizes that the Shahada mentioned the last village and decides the only way to find out more is to follow up on it. Meanwhile, Master discusses the situation with the boy, expressing his confusion about the presence of bandits in the southern jungle. The boy denies the existence of bandits. Master then speculates that there might be something else at play and thinks that the perpetrator is likely a highly skilled individual. He observes the bite marks, noting they are from a human, and deduces that there are clear signs of a battle between two evenly matched opponents. He contemplates that in order to engage in close combat with a first-class swordsman, the opponent must also possess significant skill. He concludes that both a human-eating monster and a swordsman of such caliber were present. Master then comments on the unpleasant smell, which the boy identifies as the stench of a corpse. The boy suspects that Master is from the organization. Meanwhile, a girl introduces herself as Asha, explaining that she is there to pick up the guest from the last village. As Asha leads them away, Master reflects on feeling much more at ease compared to when he was guided by the previous person. He notes that he was welcome in every village he visited, yet he can't shake the feeling that something bad is about to happen. There is an unsettling odor of blood. The boy anxiously requests to go back, expressing his desire to leave. Master, however, accuses the boy of attempting to deceive him and reminds him of his promise to guide him to the last village. He thinks about using the boy as bait if necessary due to his insolence. The boy protests, claiming he never made such a promise. Asha then announces that they have arrived, prompting Master to order the boy to hurry up and follow him. Asha leads everyone to a house, announcing to Dura Nim that the guests have arrived. She then invites them inside. As Master and the boy enter, Dura Nim greets them, acknowledging Master as the messenger of the organization. Master responds politely, addressing Dura Nim as the ruler of the jungle. The boy, feeling confused, wonders what is happening. Dura Nim downplays his status, claiming he only has a bit of influence and inquires about their purpose for visiting. Master, sensing Dura Nim's awareness of his true purpose, feels frustrated by the question. He explains that their organization wants to scout Dura Nim. The boy is shocked by the revelation, while Master internally curses the situation, realizing that even a new recruit like him is being asked to scout. Dura Nim questions whether Master is suggesting that they should work under the organization. Master warns that if they oppose the organization, surviving would be difficult for them. Dura Nim reacts with faint surprise and then brings up a recent event mentioning that a beast attacked the southern jungle. Master responds with the observation that beasts are common in the jungle, while internally questioning what Dura Nim is implying. Dura Nim explains that although they initially didn't pay much attention to the beast, its claws were exceptionally sharp and dangerous, nearly leading to their own deaths. Master reflects on the unusual danger posed by the beast, considering it a serious threat if it could harm someone as powerful as the ruler of the southern jungle. He suspects the beast might be either a hero blessed by the gods or something equally formidable. Dura Nim comments on the coincidence of the beast's appearance coinciding with their negotiations, implying that it might involve someone from the same evil organization. Master then asks what Dura Nim wants, realizing too late the gravity of the situation and feeling doomed by the lack of prior warning. Dura Nim requests that Master handle the beast, stating it as the main condition. Master agrees, feeling frustrated about having to handle various tasks for the organization. Dura Nim then informs Master about his poor eyesight, which makes it difficult for him to distinguish between a beast and a person in the woods. Master responds by noting that his sword also does not differentiate between opponents. Dura Nim remarks that a one-sided hunt would be boring, so it won't be a problem. He then invites Master to enjoy the banquet, mentioning that everyone will be busy starting the next day. As they return to the jungle, Master thinks about the absurdity of the situation, feeling like he's being set up to play while they prepare to hunt him. The boy expresses concern about the kind of enemies Master has made, but Master tells him to be quiet, revealing his own frustration. While they are hiding, someone ambushes them, forcing both Master and the boy to defend themselves. Eventually, a girl appears, and the boy becomes silent behind Master. Asha comments on Master's impatience, noting that he seems to be more impatient than he appears. With a smile, she mentions that she thought he would enjoy the banquet. Master expresses his disdain for wasting time on what he considers useless. The girl then says she thinks she recognizes him from Devil's Soul, causing the boy to ask Master what she means. Master thinks about his predicament and realizes he has no choice but to fight.